Peace, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. Blessings, everybody. I pray everybody is feeling great and off to creating a brilliant, joyous day. This is my Q&A. I decided to do a Q&A for expansion. Expansion of self for other people's expansion as well. It's the same thing in coaching for me, is opening my mind to different perspectives that will be a vehicle to lead me back within, and to help people expand their perspective, not necessarily change their mind about anything, or from an expanded perspective, so I want to do a Q&A, and so here I am. And I answered the first question, how do I handle the hate? And, that was very brief because it was really just that simple, But I shouts out to Gem True Story. And what she's asking me about is basically homophobia in the homosexual community. And let's see. She said, why is it okay to make two femmes, two people who love, be hated upon? Why is it that when you see two lesbians that call themselves doms, that they're called faggots by other doms, and she's saying she dresses hip hop and stuff like that, but she doesn't identify herself with the label of a stud and so forth and so on. And I also tend to think that it has a lot to do with the age difference sometimes. I think it has to do with demographics as well. Like, I remember, I'm originally from New York, born in St. Croix, raised in New York, and spent 14 years in Atlanta, right? And when I came out, it was like lipstick, lesbian, and butch, and I guess dominant. I heard butch more back then. I came out when I was 16, and when you come out, there's no handbook or anything like that. A lot of people tell you what you are based on how you dress. That was my experience. Because I do exude so much masculine energy, I was automatically given a label. Based upon that label, I had to act accordingly. And I just followed suit. Oh boy, did I cheat myself for a very long time. Well, I went through putting bandages around my breast. Can you imagine these tig old bitties? That shit hurt. I ain't gonna lie, it shit hurt. I used to wear a book bag everywhere I went, and I used to wear the book bag on the front of me because I was so uncomfortable in my skin. I thought that I was supposed to play a role. So anything that made me feel feminine made me feel uncomfortable because I thought that's not what I was supposed to be. So for a very long time, I was what people call now a touch-me-not. There wasn't a name for it back then. Man, I just felt real old when I said that back then, but it was. I don't ever remember hearing that term, touch me not. It was just like, just don't touch me. But it was like, there wasn't a label for it, that I can recall. And so I came out the closet when I was 16, but I started dating women when I was 14. And I never let a woman touch me in any place that reminded me of being a woman from that age all the way up until like the age of 23. Because I had a very hard time. There were times that I would feel feminine and feel ashamed about it because of the labels that were given to me by my own community. If I acted anything outside of that, it was just like, that's just that shit don't rock. I think now it wasn't as bad though then. Because I guess maybe because I conformed, so it didn't feel bad then until I had an experience with a heterosexual woman that pursued me and turned my ass out. And I'm being very candid. She was talking to me in ways that I would talk to women. Like I was confused. I was confused about feeling feminine and but not supposed to feel that way because I'm supposed to be a dominant, or I'm supposed to be a butch. And, you know, butches don't do that. You know, butches don't get roses, but I mean, just simple things like that. Butches don't get flowers. Butches don't do this. Butches don't do that. Butches don't. Oh God, it was a list of freaking rules. You know what I'm saying? And I complied. I didn't know any better. I was very young, but this young lady pursued me. And she was so cool. And I guess when a person has never had an experience with a woman before, they're not boggled down with all the labels. You know, they don't know about that stuff. They don't know about rules. They don't know about that. They just know that they are attracted to this woman, you know, who happens to look like a dude. You know, they're not usually, they don't know. So it's a certain freedom that actually came when I think in hindsight, there was a freedom that came with being with her, because I didn't have to be anything other than what I was, you know. So she would say things like, you know, you're pretty, and I mean, she would compliment parts of my body that I was just like not even comfortable with, and I was like freaking out on the inside. I felt like, the best way that I can describe it is, I felt like a heterosexual man who was having homosexual feelings and didn't know how to deal. The first time that we had become intimate, it was the first time that a woman had ever touched me in a way that was, touched me in ways that reminded me that I was a woman, you know what I mean? And so from the age of 14 all the way up to the age of 23, I had never allowed a woman to touch me. I just did not think that's what I was supposed to do. I felt very uncomfortable. And for whatever reasons, it happened, and I had an epiphany, and I was like, wow, wait a minute. Hold up, wait, so you do say you're a lesbian. I mean, you came out the closet. I came out the closet when I was 16. And I'm saying that I'm a lesbian. A lesbian is a woman who loves women. And I was going through this whole thing in my mind, right? And I was like, so why are you acting like... I just went through a whole bunch of stuff in my mind. I just could not... I was confused, and then I had this awakening. It's like, wait a minute, I'm a woman, you know, with another woman. And so why wouldn't I let her experience me and touch me and be intimate with me? I mean, like, why would I shut myself off from that because I'm trying to emulate a heterosexual relationship or emulate being a man? I'm not a man. And that changed my entire life. That experience with a heterosexual woman, seriously. I was her first. She pursued me. I ain't go hunting. She pursued me, you know. And so who would have thought that, I mean, like, are you serious? You know? And from then on, I felt very comfortable in my skin. I started to embrace my femininity, stop hurting myself by bonding down. You know, I had an epiphany about myself. You know, I mean, I went as far as actually going to get a consultation about getting my breasts downsized, and not because it was hurting my back or anything like that. It was because I did not like them at the time. I just didn't like them at the time. I mean, I went that far, and all because I accepted the rules. Those rules didn't apply to me, obviously, because it didn't feel good to me. You know, in hindsight, it was like I felt like I was still in the closet. Here, as I came out to, one of the hardest things I think for most people to do is to just come out, period. You know what I'm saying? And so then you come out, and then you go back in the closet within your own community. So I had this awakening, I had this epiphany, feeling very comfortable in my skin, especially when I hit like 30. I started feeling all types of womanly things once I hit 30. I celebrate my... let me tell you something. I feel like Catwoman. Let me tell you, okay? I feel like my feminine alter ego is Catwoman. I know you can't imagine something like that. You probably shouldn't, so you don't traumatize yourself. But I embrace my femininity as much you know, masculine energy that I exude. I celebrate my femininity, you know, and it feels so good, you know. And when I'm around, I've been in situations where I've almost gotten into fights since I've had that awakening. It's been a pretty long time, but I moved from New York and I moved to Atlanta. And Atlanta's a different language. It was a different language, you know, like we didn't say stud in New York at the time. I didn't know what a stud was, honestly. I thought a stud was a horse and a handsome man, you know, and seriously, it's demographics and culture. You know, I had no idea. We didn't say that in New York at the time. Now in New York, because it's a different generation, but see, I'll be 43, you know what I mean? So you think about that, you know, and I remember being in a store. It's my first year, and I went into the store to get cigarettes. At the time, I was smoking cigarettes, and there was a woman who was dominant looking. Like, I mean, we dressed kind of like alike, and she had a gay bracelet, like the gay colors around her arm, and when I was walking out, I was like, "Oh, you're a cutie." I'm sorry. What? I just said, "Oh, you're a cutie." And I mean, I said it like, they're like, "Oh, you're a cutie." She was cute. Damn. She had the bracelet on. I'm like, "Oh, we understand each other." I wasn't trying to hook up with her or anything. I just was like, "Oh, you in passing by. Oh, you're a cutie." And I looked the same back then and I look right now. Bald head, all of that, whatever, right? And she was like, "Nah, shawty, I don't get down with that shit." I mean, straight up. And I said, "I'm sorry." I said, no, I'm a woman. You know, I mean, we family, you know. And she was like, "No." Anyway, but she bucked at me and told me that that's not how you get down. Like, I don't get down like that. And I didn't understand. She kind of explained it to me, realized I wasn't from there. And here we went with these set of rules. And so I had a friend who actually got into a fist fight with somebody else because she told them, "Please don't refer to me as your brother. You know, I'm not a dude or anything like that." And then it got into a fist fight. And this is crazy because why do we have to go back into the closet in our community? And what it stems from is fear. I think there are different reasons as to why it's happening. I think some of it is a little religious because it's very prevalent in the black community. You know, in my experience, I've never really, it's never been a big deal around other cultures. You see feminine women with feminine women, dominant women with dominant women. It's not such a big thing, but within the black community, in my experience, it's no freaking joke. It's no joke. I think some of it stems from their belief in their religion and the guilt that they feel and are trying to emulate a heterosexual relationship as much as possible. So there's some sense of maybe acceptance with self and some sense of normality. And feeling that maybe there wouldn't be as much judgment. It's really judgment of self, though. And then if somebody comes along who is comfortable in their skin and they're like, "I am not that," then it threatens the fiber of who they are and what they believe. That shakes their foundation and they project that fear onto you. It's no different from any other kind of phobia. You know, it stems from fear, and it's not, fear is not a black thing. Fear is just a thing, right? But within our community, it's bigger. You get what I'm saying? And I think really until we accept ourselves as individuals, you know, we're black, we tend to it's like, you know, how so a lot of us won't go to therapists because we don't want to be judged. You know, we don't want to be judged. We've also been taught keep everything in the house, old school. And then there is that, it's that feeling of I'm already black, you know, and you know, I'm already this and I'm already that. I think there's a shame level. So low self-esteem is what the words I'm searching for. Thank you. Low self-esteem comes from low self-esteem and not really being sure if God loves you or not. I tend to think that plays a huge part because religion is a big part of our community as well, you know, and our own people are telling us, you know, you are an abomination, along with some other folks, you know, but telling us you're an abomination and you're going to hell and everything like that. So you have the pressure of that. So you're black and you're gay and you look like this and so forth and so on. And you're trying every possible way to not feel shameful about who you are. And you project that. So until we actually start to understand, I think spiritually, once we start to expand our perspectives about what God is and who God is, our relationship, individual relationship, authentic relationship outside of what we've been taught, but to actually follow our intuition and have a genuine God-loving, not God-fearing, but God-loving relationship. It's very hard to understand something that you're in fear of constantly. It's hard to have an authentic relationship with anyone or anything if you are afraid of it. When you are working out of fear, you create more fearful situations. So here you are in fear that you are being judged by God, and so you're projecting the shame that you feel about being gay onto somebody else. So you're creating more fear, you know what I mean? But a lot of us are not aware of that. A lot of us are not aware of it. So I honestly feel like once we expand our minds and expand our and put ourselves in a space of allowing and receiving perspectives and being able to take these different perspectives that lead us to go within, that somehow we can possibly become a little bit more fearless, or a lot more fearless, and not have to project that onto somebody else. Because at the end of the day, that's what it comes from: fear. Shaking foundations, that happens with anything outside of the gay community. I mean, that just happens with anything. Anybody who challenges someone's foundation, stability, what their beliefs or anything, and they don't even have to say anything, they could just be who they are, and this person could feel so threatened about a new idea because it may shake their foundation or take something away from them in some way. It all stems from fear. Gem, true story. I love your heart. Thank you for asking the question, because and this is why I love doing this, because it helps to expand me and keeps me on point. And I'm sure some of my perspective will expand by the time I finish this. But Gem, true story on Facebook, y'all. Shout her out. She's cool people. She's a positive sister. And I love that question, because honestly, this is 17 minutes already, y'all. That's a hell of a long time to be talking. But I've gone through the experience and I understand and I can relate, and I did want to address it because I talk about it quite often. There's no reason why you've gone through all the things that you've gone through to come out to the world, to go back into the closet within your own community. It's not right. It's not fair. People, come on now. Let's have some empathy and let's work on yourself. Check yourself. If somebody else is feeling comfortable in their skin, why would that piss you off so much? You have to check yourself, because anybody who is comfortable in their skin and are happy, they don't project. They let things be as they are. You know what I'm saying? They let things be as they are, but the joy that they see in you in being who you are, they can't identify that in themselves. Oh, believe me, trust me, they're going to project. Some do it consciously, some do it unconsciously, and both. So stand your ground. Be who you are. Don't worry about how anybody else sees you. Don't worry about anybody else's perspective. Continue to be the light that you are. All right? Be the gem and the true story that you are, girl. Thank you so much for your question. And if anybody else wants to hit me up and wants me to address anything, positive energy only, please hit me in my inbox, Shanti Syncere Slade on Facebook. And I'm also on Instagram if you want to, walk with me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. And just thank you, everybody, for your support. I miss you guys tremendously. And namaste. I love you fearlessly. Peace.